Welcome back to Best Advice Podcast, guys, where financial wisdom meets inspiration with a combined 100 years of experience in money management and market analysis, here to educate and inspire. Elevate your financial perspective here with Wednesday weekly market updates on what's hot, what's not, and what's next in the financial world. And get inspired as we flip the script from advisor to student with monthly special guests of various top-tier industry leaders where we'll discover the secrets of their success and the best advice that shaped their journeys. So let's get to it. And boy, do we have a treat for you today. Can you please welcome UCF legend, a very close friend of mine, BJ Taylor. What's up, BJ? Thanks for coming out with us today.
What's up, Rob, guys? Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on. I'm honored to be the first guest in-house. This is special, so
we're honored to have you,
I'm
man.
excited about our conversation today.
We were doing I did some Googling. Like, I knew you were always just like that guy at UCF, right? You were always the guy. Everyone knows UCF basketball, BJ's that guy. But I was impressed, man. I mean, Florida 8A Player of the Year, high school All-American, full scholarship to UCF, all freshman team, AAC first team all conference, first UCF player to ever do that. Only UCF player to ever score 15 points or average 15 points in 3 seasons in a row. NCAA even had you named top 5 best seniors heading into your senior season. I mean, I don't know if you guys have played basketball, to average 15 points in college is so hard, man.
Oh,
like,
so hard.
Your whole team is it's not NBA where you're playing one-on-one basketball.
Right, yeah.
Like,
You
their
gotta earn
coach
each
is
point.
sitting there and they're like, this is how we're guarding BJ
Yeah.
Taylor today. All these huge D1, they had 6'10" guys just sitting there trying to guard you.
Yeah.
So to average do that 3 seasons in a row is incredible.
Honestly, and that's great, the individual numbers, but I mean, honestly, for me, it probably sounds really cliche, the wins.
Yeah.
As a team are what I remember the most now, being 4 or 5 years removed from playing. Rob, if you ask me how many points I had against UConn on a Tuesday night 5 years ago, I don't know. But I remember we beat UConn right, as a team, and those are the memories, and those are sort of things that matter most to me now. The success we had at UCF as a team, as a group, the way the fan base, the community got behind us, things of that nature. Me being an Orlando guy, being from here, I committed to UCF in August of my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
I spent the entire senior year while I was in high school playing basketball with the guys at UCF.
You competed at that level.
I was really a sophomore when I had stepped foot on campus as a freshman because I was going to school in the city where I lived.
Right.
So that helped me a ton.
What did that feel like when you were a high school kid?
Yeah.
Going to those guys and playing with those guys, did you hang?
Yeah, well, first it's always an adjustment, right?
Yeah.
These guys are playing, these guys are 22, 23.
Yeah, they're more mature,
They're
too.
more mature,
Big difference,
they've done things in their personal life that I've never done,
Yeah.
I've never thought of. I'm hearing stories.
They have
that I've
kids.
never heard before. You just a lot of different stuff. I'm like, it's eye-opening, right? So you really have to figure out, how to be successful.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest thing, was that I would get beat up, for the first month I went up there, and then the second month got a little bit better, and then from there, I just continued to put the time in, continued to put the work in.
What's impressive to me too is, like, you're 6'2", I'm 6'5", man. I never got recruited by UCF. I'm like it's hard.
Neither
to
did
get
I.
recruited.
I'm 6'2", I'm good there too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Really
To be a 6'2", like,
that's
at a big school
that
like
level,
that, like,
yeah.
you have to
Yeah,
be
you gotta be
super
special.
talented, bro.
'Cause
Like,
there's
that's so
many.
hard.
I'm 6'5" too, but I've always been sort of a step slow.
Yeah.
And
Frank
so,
uses his butt and back in.
Yeah, 6'5", it's like, hey, you're 6'5", man, you're slow, man. But when you're 6'2", you got to be so good, because there's a lot of folks that are 6'2" and under, so you got to be special.
Yeah,
You really got to work hard.
Yeah,
You
it's
got to put a
nuts.
lot of time in on your game. But I had a lot of inspirational people in my life. My dad was always highly involved with me. As a coach, just telling me what I needed to know to get better. My mom's always been my biggest supporter.
Yeah,
She was
I
the
like
one who
that.
hold me and be
You
like,
hear that
"You
all
be
the
all
time,
right."
Mom.
Yeah, Dad was the one to push me and kind of shape me as a player, but couldn't have done it without my mom, because she's the one.
Mom
that
loves
really
you. She
kept me.
loves
She
you.
loves you no matter what.
That's right.
It's unconditional.
That's right. You
But-
need that too, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I was a huge fan of T-Mac growing up, Tracy McGrady.
T-Mac,
That
those
was-
shoes were the
yeah,
best. The
yeah,
little
dude,
3
the
lines, bro.
on it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's over.
He was the reason why I wore #1 for my entire career, was him. And then it moved over to Dwayne Wade when he was in Miami, when he and Shaq won that title down there. I loved him. And then, our good friend, Austin Rivers. When I was in middle school, they were in high school, and, I looked up to watching guys like him play, and
And to win a state championship was always out of Miami. Remember the South Florida teams?
Oh man,
would come in and kill us.
You weren't gonna win.
You're always going to. It was always Miami-Dade.
Central Florida, you're not gonna win.
And I remember that when we broke through and Rob won that title with Austin, and it was, it was like, hey, Orlando, man, Orlando wins the title. That was big.
I think Orlando is very underrated in the talent that comes out of here. The talent that comes out of here is nuts.
Yeah.
You're talking about Brandon Knight, you're talking about Austin Rivers. I'm not even going to start naming a lot of people because I'm going to leave people out. They're going to be mad. But there's just a lot of good talent.
But forever it was always Miami
Shane
Killian.
Larkin.
Remember Miami Killian? They were all 6'8", tough, and man,
Where'd they all come from? Where they breed them
I
down
don't
there?
know. They beat us up.
They're just as good at basketball. They're even better at football.
Yeah.
That's true.
Outstanding.
They always win state championships.
Baseball too, I mean.
They'll say it's the
talent.
heat. That's what they'll say.
Yeah, they're angry.
They'll say that they're in such great shape down there because obviously even though it's hot here, it's even hotter down there in Miami.
There's something about like your lungs are bigger when you live in the heat. So like there really is. Like so you can breathe harder, you can work out hard. I don't know, something's working.
Because if it's that hot, you get in a regular gym, you're like, hey,
let's go to Cuba, man. We should be working out in Cuba.
The collegiate level,
it's hard.
it takes so much discipline to get through all the high school and competing here.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're the best athletes, I would say, in all the United States right now. Grown right here in Florida.
Well, even Rob can talk about the days. As a student athlete, you know what they're like. I mean, from morning, you start to sundown.
It's a job.
It's a job.
I watched
Big
it.
job.
I used to go to a lot of Loyola games, as a dad, and so I'd go down there for a week at a time, and Dave would work here and let me go play.
I do sometimes.
Yeah, but sometimes you'd say, okay, you go, and I'll.
You're there.
Yeah.
But it was nice. He held the fort down at certain times when I could go for a whole week, and I would.
And you had to during that period of time. You weren't going to miss that, and I wasn't going to let you miss that.
Yeah, it was great. But I lived the life. I watched the life of it. So it's like, okay, there's 6 o'clock in the morning, there's stretching, and then there's a practice, and then there's film, and then there's study hall, then there's class, and then there's post film, then there's another workout, and it was like
It gets stressful, man.
40-hour job.
Because before the
man.
next class is up, you're trying to catch up on this.
Well, you're on call 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I was in New Orleans, so all I did is have maybe a Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
I was good for the day.
Say go, Rob, go.
Yeah.
And then when you're not in that, they want you in the training room.
Exactly.
So it just doesn't. You don't go home. You really don't go home.
Yeah. You have to be where they want you to be at all times.
So let's talk about a little bit about like that transition from. You graduated, right? You went to you were under the Orlando Magic's organization for a while, which has got to be crazy to think about.
Yeah, it was great to get
Being from Orlando. Yeah, that's nuts.
I've college, go to summer league with them, spend the time with them, and then go to training camp with the Clippers. Get signed to their organization when Doc Rivers was the head coach. That was his first year.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. Was Austin there then?
At the time, no, Austin was in Houston. That was going to be his. Yeah, that was going to be his first year in Houston. So being with the Clippers was great. Cool. Obviously, having Doc there as a part of the organization, knowing the Rivers family as long as I have was awesome. And then going down to the G League team, I missed the entire season with an injury, broke my rib. That carried over.
How'd you do that?
Got elbowed.
That's
I was chasing somebody off ball screen.
Shows the strength of those guys, right?
Got elbowed, man. And that bad boy, I couldn't sneeze, man. I couldn't cough. It was painful.
I've heard that's the worst injury,
And unfortunately, that carried over into the pandemic.
Yeah.
So you think about missing a season.
And then you got the pandemic.
Yeah, and then now it's like this. Right, I thought I was slowed down before.
Yeah,
it was really slowing down.
Yeah. That's tough. That's tough timing.
Yeah, it was tough timing. It's really
timing.
crazy timing.
Some things in life, it's timing.
It's one of those things. It's so important.
So important.
So timing, situation.
Place, right time,
yes, having somebody that believes in you. Luck. Yeah, there's so many things that go into really succeeding at a level like the NBA.
Yeah.
Because so many people don't realize there's only 450 of those jobs.
Right. In the world. But now you look at, too, you see how much internationally we're starting to get players.
Yeah.
And so it used to be, in my mind, the U.S. kind of dominated, but now you look at, what's the 7'6" kid that came in and just dominating right now? What's
Victor?
Yeah.
That dude's nuts, man.
I mean, that's 7'6". He can dribble and shoot. And what the heck? He pulls up and hits the 3 on. He's 7'6".
I feel like eventually they're gonna have to raise the hoop. Like, at what point are they gonna raise the hoop? At what point are the 7'6" guys
He
point
looks
guards?
like that guy that you all have kids. If your kid's home playing like the video game, 2K, and they've created like this that's like super tall. They can also shoot.
Yeah, that's
dribble.
him.
And you like pass him on the TV. Like,
100 on everything.
Right,
100. Yeah.
That guy's real.
That's him.
That's a
in real
great
life.
way to put it, man.
Yeah.
They played with Taco Fall though.
Yeah, that was cool.
My career.
They would love Taco, man.
That's
Yeah.
Did Taco wind up going in the NBA? Or?
He was with the Celtics for a little bit, then with the Cavaliers, and now he's over in China.
Over in China, okay.
Yeah. Taco's a guy though, man. If the timing was different. Once again, he missed the era of basketball where the post player and the being the center was
the thing. Now you got to be more athletic.
Yeah, the game is so spaced out. You know,
you got to be able to shoot even at that size.
Pace, speed, agility. Crazy. That's all.
Speaking of Europe, when you kind of ended that, you got hurt, right? So, what did you didn't think to go? Like, obviously, you could have gone and played Europe. Someone at your level. Yeah. What was that decision like? What was like? Balancing that or like juggling the option of going overseas and making money or?
Well, it was really a challenge. You know, it was really hard for me because basketball, as I told Dave, before we started the show, it's what I wanted to do. You know, I always, I got my degree at UCF in business administration and all of that, but I didn't think about even how I was going to put that into play until for at least like 7-8 years after I was done. That was just I should get my degree because I know it's the right thing to do, and it'll make my family really proud, right? But definitely didn't have a plan of this is what I want to go into post-basketball, so it was really a challenge to let it go. Because when you put so much time into something, so much energy, you're able to do well at it.
You want to stay with that forever, really.
Yeah, and as an athlete, it becomes a part of your identity. It becomes a part of who you are.
Sure.
I mean, I've been known as the basketball kid since I was fifth. Everybody knew I loved basketball in elementary school, but
then when you got good, it was
once you get to that talent where everyone's like, we got to go watch BJ play. Like, we got to go see this guy.
I was the basketball kid. You want to talk about basketball? You go talk to BJ. BJ's the only 6th grader on his 8th grade team. Little things like that where you
becomes part of your MO.
Yes, it becomes a part of everything. Your social life. How you talk to people. How people know you. Everyone associates basketball with you.
So how you think about yourself
is basketball. So or whatever sport you play, right? So when you have to detach from that, it's challenging. So it took me, couple months there. I retired in early December, and then I had like 2 or 3 months there where I was just kind of in a fog and trying to figure out what I want to do.
Were you a little depressed?
I had those feelings of kind of a loss.
Yeah.
Feeling,
Honestly, I felt that way 100%. You know what I mean?
Right. And it happens to athletes at all, levels. Whether you stop playing right after college or whether you're Tom Brady and you play, 19, 20 years professional. You saw how hard it was for him to retire.
And it transcends. I was just talking to a buddy of mine, a CPA that retired about 6 months ago, and I was talking to him on the phone, and what you're saying transcends to careers too. And he's like, he was telling me, he goes, hey, you're in your 60s. He goes, keep working. He said, I completely stopped. And you go from, all this responsibility as a CPA, all these accounts and all these people that he worked a lot with physicians, and they're like, I was very important to them, and all of a sudden you go from that 60 hours a week to 0.
Right.
Yeah.
And he said, so in regular careers outside of the NBA or sports, it's like, okay, I wake up, I have my coffee, I play golf, and now it's noontime, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. That's wild.
My wife says I'm not allowed to. She knows what'll happen to me.
She knows what'll happen. Right? But I mean, kind of piggybacking on what you're talking about is you lose a sense of purpose.
Yes.
Like even with what you guys do here, you guys help people.
Every day.
At the end of the day, that's what you do. You help your clients, you help them financially. Right. With me, with playing basketball, that was what I felt like was my purpose. Was my calling, right? So when that's
help
gone,
the younger generation, you know what I mean?
Inspire others to go on and be good basketball players. Like I said, the guys that inspired me, when I played at UCF, it was so much about the community, so much about Orlando, and the pride that they had as a local guy performing and helping our team succeed, right? So when that was gone, the purpose in life was kind of missing, and since then,
and a lot of people don't, that happens and it doesn't really go away. Yeah. Like you're one of the lucky, I don't want to say lucky ones because you're talented and you can speak well. Yeah, just everyone knows, everyone who ever met him was like, that's a great guy. He can speak well, he dresses well, he looks good. Immediately, you're the youngest analyst out there for ESPN where, if you went overseas for 3 years, that might never happen. You know what I mean? And now you have this career that kind of is in front of you where it's like most NBA players want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Most people who went to the NBA for 10 years and did, let's say you did exactly what you wanted to do, can't even do what you're doing right now. You know what I'm saying?
That's kind of going off of, what Frank said was that, things not working out with the NBA and the timing, right, have kind of pivoted me into this new career. Well, now I am one of the youngest analysts in the country covering any sport.
But you get to hang with the same people that you played with.
Exactly, and I'm still around them. They're still my peers.
Sure.
I love that.
The end of the show here, BJ. Again, Best Advice Podcast, guys. The whole idea of the show is to get the best advice from top tier people like yourself. So, BJ, would you please treat us with the best advice you've ever received that helped your journey?
Just in general?
To help your journey, help your, the success you've had.
First it come from my mom. First has to come from my mom.
Of course.
And that's, you have to believe in yourself over everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't believe in yourself, no matter what you're doing, no matter what industry you're in, sports, music,
True.
you know, you want to be a business mogul, whatever it is, you got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
But you won't try unless you do, right?
Right, and you're going to come up across a lot of adversity at all times, no matter what you're doing. You're going to have doubters, you're going to doubt yourself at times, so if you don't have that backbone, that resilient belief in yourself, you're not going to go far.
That's
and
great.
then second would be, you know, from my dad, and it was just always controlling what you can control.
Yeah.
There's a lot of external variables that are going to happen with things. You know, there's a lot of politics in every business,
Can't
every
control
industry.
it.
You can't control it.
Yeah.
You start to focus on that, and you know, start
point.
keeping score. And well, this happens for them, and this doesn't happen for me, and then you're just going to continue to
Good
stay
advice,
right there. So,
Great advice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
so true.
that's great, yeah.
I need to hear that every day.
I always say that we're in a very uncontrollable business here.
Yeah, right.
We can't
Markets,
control the world. We're in the middle of it. We stay in the middle of this, rocking and rolling around us. And so once you realize, and don't base your identity on what trying to control the uncontrollable brings a lot of peace in your life.
Yes.
Because there's so many things in this world you can't control. Once you get that, there's a lot of peace that comes.
Yes.
For sure.
Absolutely.
That's great advice. And it's cool that it's coming from the people you respect the most. Because that when your mom and dad talk and you respect your mom and dad, you listen. Because you know that's, you know, the purest love you got, right?
Absolutely.
The purest love you got is mom and dad.
Yeah.
You got the Lord, mom and dad, and those
Right
are the
there.
three that are really,
Absolutely.
really
Right there.
pure.
No question. No question.
Is there a person other than your mom and dad that you
impacted my life?
Yeah.
Johnny Dawkins, the head coach for UCF.
Yep.
You know, long time, Duke great. Spent a lot of years on Coach K's staffs up at Duke.
Oh, yeah.
Stanford head coach for about 5 years.
He played at Duke, right?
Yeah, he's one of Duke's
Yeah, he was
original
good,
all-time greats.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
but
right,
he was very, he was like perfect for the time I was at in my life, being 19 to 22, the impact he was able to have, because he's so big on, you know, not just excelling as a basketball player, but excelling as a person.
Yeah.
Right. You know,
That's
he was always
huge.
saying, do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, that was one of the things he would
Because
always
there's so
tell
much
us.
life beyond basketball.
There's something he would always tell us. The ball's going to stop bouncing for everyone at some point.
Yeah.
I like
That's what he would
that.
tell us.
I like that.
All the
I
time.
love that. You know, you don't realize how right he is and how quick it is
And
sometimes.
how quick he is. But he was, I know so many guys that had coaches that didn't, you know, stress that to them. So
Yeah.
for him to do that, you know, and have that awareness for us, you know, was
That's
amazing.
huge for a young
That's
person.
huge.
It's incredible.
You're just
It's
a
incredible.
kid, basically.
Just a kid.
You're
Yeah.
just a kid.
Yeah. And you're very,
big
you're
kid with
still,
talent.
still moldable. 18, 19,
Yeah.
you're still looking for that real good advice that's
You are.
going to stick in your head.
Yeah.
You get a parent figure like that outside your parents.
Yeah.
No wonder you did so well. That's cool.
Very
I love that.
Do you have any worst advice you've ever gotten that you listen to and you're like, dude, I cannot do that one?
Yeah. or worse, you didn't go. That was terrible.
The worst advice that I ever received. You know, I probably didn't even like take it
Oh,
to
you
the
didn't listen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
okay,
probably
that's
didn't-
okay.
I probably didn't,
That's probably good.
I probably didn't even let it stick.
You don't need to put anyone on blast.
You know, I think the not even the worst advice. The thing that I see that gets a lot of people in trouble is trying to live up to other people, right? And what they have or what they're doing.
Their
or
expectations
whatever
of you.
facade they're displaying for you.
Keeping up with the Joneses, they call it.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
You know, not living within your means.
Yeah. Oh,
So
that's
big
huge.
one.
Oh,
Not
boy.
And
not
we see
living
it.
within your
We
means.
see it all the time.
Yeah.
People want to, get that fancy car and get that
Yeah.
fancy house or do that just because they think other people are going to
Yeah, this-
think a lot about them. They don't really care
You
about
guys know
them.
way better than me. There's so many ways to stretch it. And there's so
Yeah.
many ways to
Yeah.
put yourself into debt if you want to
Yeah.
live a lifestyle that you want
Right. That's
to
right.
kind of fake, I guess.
That's right.
So that's be the biggest thing for me that I would say is just horrible advice. I see a lot of times where, it's like, well, you can do this, and you can. It's like, well, no, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's probably not a good idea.
Thanks, but no.
You know,
I
not
probably could,
yeah.
but do I want to?
Yeah.
It's
Do
smart.
what
Is
you
it-
can.
is it
and
smart?
do
Do
what
what
you
you
should.
can. Yeah.
But some of our favorite people and our clients are the ones that you have no idea that they have the means.
Yeah.
They live their life.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Quiet.
Kind of humility, a lot of humility.
They don't brag about it, and they could quietly do anything they want to do, but they like that life
Yeah.
of not being out in the public eye. So
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably some of the best advice you can give to a young athlete too. Especially coming into the pros, you got this window of opportunity
Yes.
to make this money, and it stops.
It's a short window. And, like my dad would always tell me it's all relative.
Yeah.
Right? That was a huge thing he would always
Right,
say.
it's
It's
all
all
relative.
relative. He's like, BJ, everybody, wants to get rich. Right?
Yeah.
Well, what is rich? 'Cause
Yeah.
if you told
That
me,
makes sense, yeah.
you told me you make $500,000 a year, I'd be like, Dave's freaking killing it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Dave makes a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
But then I have a friend who's in the NBA that makes $15 million a
Yeah.
year.
What's that mean? Is that
And
rich?
he-
But I was at a Thanksgiving dinner one time, and we were sitting around. It was me and some of my cousins and my family. And I was talking about one of my friends who had just signed in the NBA for the veteran minimum.
Okay.
He signed for the vet
Right,
minimum.
right. Vet
which is
minimum.
actually-
$2 million or something.
Exactly, which is
Yeah,
we know
2
is
million.
the low, which
2.5,
is
yeah.
the lowest veteran
Still
contract.
$2 million though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're winning.
Right? And I was talking about it in a way that was like, yeah, had to sign for, the vet minimum and, they
Poor thing.
Yeah, like in a way, because
Yeah.
we were talking about some of the other contracts going around and I was like, yeah, I think the vet minimum is going to be like, maybe like 3.7 for him, and he's been in the league now for like 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
And my sister it was my sister. She was like, oh my gosh, $3.7 million is what he signed for? He's loaded.
Yeah.
He's set.
And it completely changed
Your perspective,
my perspective because I
yeah.
was so thinking
You
of
get
it
skewed.
in a way. Exactly, because I was thinking, well, Steph Curry makes $47 million.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
3.7 to 47.
Right.
And it can really kind of take things out
Like
of
your dad
context.
said, it's all
relative. It's all relative.
Amazing, man.
Well, this
All
was
right,
awesome.
well, BJ, we love you, man. You're my brother.
No, thank
always.
you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. This has been awesome. This has been great.
We
It's been a
appreciate
lot
you
of- a lot
all.
of fun.
Remember at home, it's not what you earn, it's what you keep. Happy days, everybody. This show is for entertainment and educational purposes only and is not intended as personal financial advice. Before making any financial decisions, please do your homework and consult a financial advisor as needed. For more information, visit www.bestadvicepodcastguys.com. Thanks for listening.